looks fun. Give it your all.
Welcome. This is Top Tier Tips. Greetings. This is Force Nature Top Tier Tips, and I welcome you to your prime spot for tips and tricks to help you level up at Dead or Alive 6. In this session, we're going to be looking at the dragon himself, Jann Lee. I'll get straight to the point. Jann Lee's all about hitting things hard and looking badass while doing it. Oh, and Lei Fang also really likes him. At a base level, Jann Lee's gameplay is pretty straightforward. You can fight with him in close, you can fight with him at range. Either range is fine, so he'll be comfortable at both. So if you're going to be playing a keep out, then you have this little thing here called 6-6K, forward kick. Right here is an excellent move just for blasting the opponent back. Safe on block, knocks the opponent into the wall. It even has a close hit property in DOA 6, so I mean it's just a nice like keep up poke, and even like 6BK too, so it's nice. If you're gonna be fighting with Jann Lee in close, and I'll just let you know, you're gonna be packing a 10 frame jab, 11 frame elbow or 6P, 13 frame 6K, and 2P or down jab that's 13 frames. That's unfortunately -1 on normal hit, but because the 6P is 11 frames, it's not too big a deal. So if you're gonna be trying to open people up close, just use like string delays like P, 2P, P, 6P, PP, 4P, so there's a bunch of stuff, PP, 2K, 6P, like 6BK, 6B, like 2K, 6PP, so like a bunch of stuff like that. Anyways, once you're done Jann Lee's command training, and combo challenge, then you're ready to be an unstoppable force online. Not quite. It's gonna take a little bit more than that to be the king of the dragons. Before I go on, I just want to give a shout out to Darkslay, who's a really solid Jann Lee player who helped me out with both my Dead or Alive 5 last round Jann Lee guide and also with his DOA 6 guide here. So I'm gonna leave a link to his YouTube down below and just like check it out, because this guy does some like awesome stuff with Jann Lee. Here, I'm just gonna lay down some key stuff to keep in mind with Jann Lee. So if you have a notepad out, feel free to just toss it out, throw it on your table right now, and just keep note of these things. Alright, Jann Lee is known as being a jack of all trades, master of none character. So I alluded to you earlier that with Jann Lee, you can fight in close just fine, you can fight at range no problem. So Jann Lee can be a good zoning character, you can rush down with them, and he also has some interest in tech. I'll let you know. Keep note of this throw right here. This is forward throw. This is the Dragon Gunner. See, it's Jann Lee's offensive hold. It's one of his key tools for basically kind of like opening people up and trying to get some of that tech going. Related to Dead or Alive, just with regards to Dead or Alive 6, Jann Lee does adapt to the system quite well. I mean, he has some good quick launch or like stun launch damage on any weight. He has good wall carry, some decent tracking. He has a good utility fatal stun move, his quarter circle back P or 214P. This right here is now a good low crush move for Jann Lee, and having a normal hit fatal stun is always a good thing. And also his bound move is solid too. I showed you, and also in the sample combo, the 4KKP, which bounds on an airborne opponent. So yeah, so Jann Lee has some good stuff going for you. Here, I'll just show you like another thing right now. Yes, Jann Lee has an unblockable attack. That's the I-25 Dragon Kick, which I'll look at a little later. But I just wanted to just show you a couple like quick things now with regards to the Dragon Gunner. See, with it gives you enough advantage to get a guaranteed break blow on your opponent if it hits, and also at a wall. You can also use a fatal rush against your opponent if you have them backed into a corner with the Dragon Gunner. Remember, for a lot of the guaranteed falls with the Dragon Gunner, you have to do a little dash up, so that is pretty cool. As you probably know, the way how you get out of a fatal rush is with a break hold. So yeah, so that is a pretty dangerous option that your opponent has to account for if the Jann Lee has the opponent cornered. And with all that said, Jann Lee is basically considered to be an easy to pick up, hard to master character. So even if I know this is DOA where a lot of characters can feel easy to pick up, hard to master, but for Jann Lee I do highly recommend them for beginners, but kind of in a similar way to Mila, in the sense that you could basically just play him in a kind of a pick up and play kind of manner, just play like straightforward kind of like footsies, poke and all that kind of stuff. But he also has quite a bit, similar to Mila, has quite a bit of kind of relatively kind of advanced techniques that you can do with them to kind of to help you maintain that desire to keep trying to get better with them, as opposed to like someone in comparatively like Nico, where the skill ceiling can feel like a lot lower in comparison. So yeah, just in general, Jann Lee's a great character in the DOA series. Alright, just give me a moment to slap on everyone's best friends in the training mode, the move details box, also known as the skill info. Alright, so I already showed you earlier that Jann Lee's packing a 10 frame jab, 11 frame elbow, 13 frame, 6K, it's not really a knee, and 13 frame 2P, that is the unfortunate -1 on normal hit. But with an 11 frame 6P, you won't really care about that unless you're fighting another character that has an 11 frame elbow. So under most circumstances, you're still good. And if you think they're gonna elbow, you still have your jab. But with these moves, as you see, like your jab is neutral. Your 6P and your 6K are negative on normal hit. The main reason why, because what you're trying to do with these moves is connect them on counter hit. Like 6P gives you plus 20. I know, like most 6Ps. And this move right here, 6K, is really nice on counter hit. Look at that. It gives you a plus 30 stun on counter hit. So with this, you can almost follow up with like whatever you want kind of thing. So 6K is really nice. Along with the usual pokes, Jann Lee also has things to help him out, such as 9P right here. You see also can give you on counter hit. You see you get plus 26 stun, so this is really nice. You have 4PP, which is 4PPP. If you just stop it, you can go into Jann Lee's stance, which is known as Dragon Stance right here. These different ways to go into it. So yeah, but just I'll go over that stance a little later. See, along with 6K, which I prefer, there's also 4K, but I guess because 4K has multiple hits, where 6K, alright, well 6K does too, but with 4K you can kind of poke with like 4K, 4KK, but obviously you get a slightly better stun by just simply doing 4K. Even though, I mean, it's nice to have options, even though for me it's just 6K is just like such a really good poke. I gave you a little sample with regards to like Jann Lee's jab strings earlier, such as like P6P, P2P, PP4P, so different stuff like that. The ones that generally keep into mind would be like P6P is a nice go-to tracking move. Because his jab is 10 frames, it's basically coming out of a 10 frame move. The second move comes out so fast the opponent will not be able to sidestep this, so this will stuff sidestep pretty nicely. You have a little follow-up at the end. I mean, just in case the opponent thinks the string is finished, you can still have another tracking kick after that. You see right there, you can end with a high with PP4 PP, and the last hit is also chargeable. But the main one, along with P6P for stuff in tracking, which is actually just a really good go-to poke, I like P2P because the second hit's basically like his 6P, which is a nice 11 frame gut punch. Because with P2P, you have a fast high mid string. I like fast high mid string because it's basically effectively it's a high string that will stuff people that are thinking of ducking your jab, so the second hit will end up nailing them, and you get better hit properties when you hit someone when they're crouching. But I'll just say right now with the 6P string or P6P, you could I think I might have already said what you can do, but some things to keep in mind is it's pretty delayable, so You can do P to P, P to P, P. Oh well, I think I'm buggered up. Let me. All right, P to P P. Yeah, I'm kind of just slipping over my words a bit there. P to P P. There we go. Got it. So you can also do P, P to P K. Wow, this is just seeming really awkward to say. P to P 2K. I'll just let you know if you keep doing what is the equivalent of the 2H+K sweep right here, the opponents will eventually react to it and be able to block it on reaction. So you have to make use of your delays, so have different timings, and also feel free to just chuck out this on an opponent's block. You see this right here. I already told you about 6-6K. This move is safe on block, so either P to PK or 6PK or 6-6K. All of this is safe on block. Once the opponent is once you got them anticipating either of these options here, like P to PP is unsafe on block, then you could let me take that off. Then you can start to sneak in the low. In general, Jann Lee's low game is not really the greatest. Like, you have your track and sweep with 2H+K, same as 6B 2K, but that can start to become like reactable after a while because it's like what, it's a 24 frame low. You also have 1K at 20 frame low. This is probably one of the better, more decent lows because it's very similar to Kasumi's 1K. I mean, they're both 20 frames, do around the same type of advantage. So yeah, you can have 1K. Although if you do have an opponent that's being really defensive, then you try and sneak in the 6-6T. For other lows, well, there's also his 2K, which is the same as PP2K. You have to follow up like PP2KK, PP2K2K. But other than that, for lows, yeah, you don't really necessarily get that much to work with. Like 1K would probably be your best bet. All right, I made a mention of this move earlier, didn't I? This is 9P. As you see right here, it's -1 on block, which wouldn't be so bad in general. That means your jab becomes 11 frames, your 6P becomes 12 frames, your 2P becomes 14 frames, but Jann Lee got a new thing in DOA 6, which is 9P4. See, this right here is his main stance. This is Dragon Stance, so 9P4. All of a sudden, you have -1 becomes +1. You can end up... You have some options that you can end up doing out of there. That's one's not really recommended, but you have a quick jab. You could like your 6K right there. You see that's an 11 frame move, so if you're at +1, that'd be 10 frames. So that move would end up beating out majority of the options the opponent would do. So just 9P is just a really nice frame trap to put on the opponent's block. And as I mentioned earlier, -1 is not the worst thing in the world because your elbow is still pretty fast at 12. So if your 2P, like everything is just simply just 1 frame faster, so that's not really too bad. Jann Lee's crush game isn't the greatest, but if you do want like a high crush move, he does have his 3P+K right here. It does blast, his 18 frame high crush can do a crap load of damage if he can't get the close hit right there at 60 damage. But beware, despite being a guard break, it's actually incredibly negative because the move has a crap ton of recovery. See, it has 46 recovery frames. So don't use this as don't use it as a block pressure move. So I mean, 9P is basically your block pressure, your move. But yeah, but if you do need a high crush, I mean, this is an option, I guess. All right, we're gonna be taking a look at Jann Lee from around mid-range now. But before I go on, I just want to do one more tidbit related to the last section. All right, along with Jann Lee's 9P4 right there, the 14 frame high, he also has his 7P. It's a 23 frame high. I know that sounds pretty slow, but this one right here, as you see, also +1 on block. So this one is now you're going to be your frame trap if you want access just to your normal jab, 6B, 2P, because as you know, with +1, 9 frame jab, 10 frame mid, and 12 frame low, so you can basically beat out pretty much almost anything. The worst that will happen is you might trade with 9 frame jabs and you'll trade with 12 frame lows, but in general you can usually throw all buttons with no fear when you're on your when you have your +1. Also, just to let you know, with this move 7P, it also has access to, it basically just has access to all the same moves. It's like that. So basically it's a lot like Lei Fang's own. It's basically like Lei Fang's own 7P. So I mean, it's at 23 frames. It'd be more recommended to throw out 9P in close range, but from like a bit further out close range, so the tip around mid to close range, so around here, so usually considered like about range 2. You can kind of use it the same way, similar to Lei Fang's own 7P. It's basically you can use it to close the distance. It takes a little step back, so you can even kind of whip punish and go into your jab strings. Alright, for mid-range, Jann Lee is good. In fact, you actually run into the conundrum of determining if you should play a keep-out game or try and play like a poke-in game to try and like get in and try and like, rush down your opponent or anything like that. The kind of elements that will kind of determine that is your own personal playstyle. Do you prefer keep-out? Do you prefer rush down or kind of like footsie style poke-in? Is your opponent's character more adept at close range? Or are they more adept at like ranged combat, keep out of their own? Or is your opponent just simply an impatient person in general and tries to rush you down all the time? And like in that kind of instance, you would want to just try and keep them out. For instance, right now, let's say you're fighting Jann Lee's #1 admirer, Lei Fang. She's more adept at close range style combat, so she generally does not like fighting at range. So in that case, you'd probably want to try and keep her out. Basically keeping her at a safe distance for yourself. So I mean, these are the kind of things that you kind of like these are the kind of like things that you end up determining for basically any matchup you go. Basically, the style of player and the character matchup. If you are looking to employ a kind of a mid-range poke style game, then basically 3K, 4K, and K. 4K will end up being your friends. So you'll have to excuse the massive negative frames on block for both of these 2-hit strings. The reason why that is because these moves have a pretty big follow-up in like either K 4KP or 3K 4KP. So if the opponent tries to throw you after this move, then they're gonna get like smacked in the face for a lot of high counter damage. From mid-range, some other poses you can use is stuff like 3K, just leaves you at plus, it's a 14 frame mid kick, leaves you at plus 14. And another move and it's only like -9 on block. Another move you can also use is 20 frames 60+K. This is his old critical burst move from Dead or Alive 5. See, this move gives you a juicy plus 21 stun on normal hit. So you can use this move basically around mid-range, and if you're trying to fish for that plus 21 stun and like follow up with your 3P or just simply launch right away, get a small juggler or whatever, then this move is pretty nice for that. Other moves that you can also kind of like use around mid-range is this 15 frame high kick, 6H+K. I'll just let you know for this move, it goes into Dragon's Hands, press the 4, then you end up doing the K option right away, and you get a nice plus 32 lift stun. Because if you just do the move raw, then it's like nothing can really connect after it, unless you just want to kick him on the floor right away. But it's usually recommended to, well, don't hit him from the front, then do the K option right there, Dragon's Dance K, get your plus 32 lift stun, and then you can end up like launching the opponent after that. Another move that you can also use from this range is more so kind of like a fast interrupt, almost a whiff punisher from if someone like whiffs something right in front of you, then you can get a lift stun with his 7K right here. So this one's a 14 frame high kick. It's a lift stun on normal hit, launcher on counter hit. So at 14 frames, though, it's reasonably fast. Same speed as like 9P. So either using like 6H+K or 7K are nice moves for basically getting your offense started when the opponent leaves an opening for you to do so. And from long range, Jann Lee's arguably even more effective than he is from mid range, especially if you're being committed to that keep out playstyle. Like I already just let you know throughout this guide that basically 6K is godlike. Like the move is only, yeah, it's only -3 on block. If you can actually try and get that around tip range, which I know is hard, look at that, you're only at -2 on block. With -2, that basically means your jab is only 12, your elbow is 13. So I mean, that's only 1 frame slower. So if the opponent doesn't retaliate immediately, you can try and sneak in a jab. You can basically try and abari your opponent if they're not really on the ball with their retaliation. And also, you don't really expect a move with a big animation like that to be really super safe. Like you're thinking maybe -5, -6 or worse or something, but no. -3 or -2 depending on the range. So this move is just like really damn good. From this range though, like if you are fighting at long range, you're basically at this point you're just focusing on keep out. So I mean, along with 6-6K, which is good range, you also have your P+K right here. See right here, it's 15 frame close hit move, which blasts the opponent back like really far in open space. See, it basically goes all the way about, okay, yeah, knock back right there, 5 meters. So this move just knocks the opponent all the way across the screen. So basically for keep out, you could be using 6-6K and P+K. And of course, to make sure that the opponent's paying attention during the neutral game or when you have advantage, preferably when you have advantage, you have the Dragon Kick. Your 25 frame unblockable attack deals a crap ton of damage at 55 damage. And of course, if the opponent blocks, they get smacked by it anyway. But one little thing you'll have to note, if you end up hitting the opponent while they're blocking, you actually only get 80% damage since you're smacking their hands into their face, which is still, I mean, 44 damage is still crazy, and either way, it has a close hit property for like a stupid amount of damage. You get 82 damage for smacking in the face at 150% whether they block it or not, so, I mean, at 25 frames, if the opponent knows you're going to do it and they're looking out for it, they're going to be able to crouch it in time. However, but if you've been mixing it up well with 6-6K, you could occasionally sneak it in. Although if the opponent kind of knows you're going to do either one, in TOA 6 you actually can't just sidestep attack both of them. But the 6-6K though does come out 17 frames, so that's basically unreactable. I mean, you have to basically know when I'm going to do it to be able to react to it, because in a 3D fighter like DOA 6, 17 frames is really hard to react to. But yes, the main purpose of the Dragon Kick is basically just, I'll just say the point of this move is just simply to exist. It's just something for the opponent to have to account for. Not to mention you feel like a huge badass every time you connect this, and it demoralizes the opponent to know that you got hit by a 25 frame unblockable move. Jann Lee's throw game is pretty good, and it does complement his offense pretty nicely. A lot of his throws are pretty standard. Like for instance, he has his 5 frame neutral throw, 40 damage. 7 frame punish throw, 45 damage. He got a new 4T, which does knocks the opponent forward. Looks pretty cool and pretty Bruce Lee like. Does 52 damage, which is okay. And now he has 2 12 frame throws. His quarter circle back T, so you get 60 damage for doing this. So, and it looks pretty badass every time you do hit it. He does have another throw, quarter circle T, his 2-part throw, which does a little bit more damage at 65 damage. But at the throw, it used to be I think it used to be like a 17 frame throw. It had pretty, like it had, the main reason you would use it as a long range throw, but now it's basically just another throw. I mean, you get a little more damage, but you have to risk getting broken. For an extra 5 damage is really not worth it. So honestly, just do this and smack the crap out of the opponent. If I'm not mistaken, you can also, there's also a wall version of this that I think it just looks awesome. Let's see if I can set it up. Oh, look at that. Just bash the opponent's face. In fact, talking about wall throws, let's look at Jann Lee's 6T. This right here, it was supposed to be a wall throw. That's how it looks normally, just gives a little knockdown, but at a wall, so you leave yourself at considerable advantage. You get, it only does 26 damage. You have 38. You have 38 advantage right there. But the main thing about this is that it's essentially supposed to be a wall reset throw. So you're not really doing it just for the damage. You're doing it for the pressure at the wall. You see right there. Alright, look again. You see the little combo throw option right there? For the combo throw option means that you can input you can end up inputting you can input P+K, and then you get access to his dragon stance. Ah, come on, line up with the wall, will ya? So press P+K on the combo throw, then you get access to his dragon stance options. Either the P option, the K option, the P+K option, all of them tend to give you pretty good advantage. But of course, I am usually just a fan of... let me just try again. Let me just show you like an example. I'm always usually a fan of Dragon Stance K, just because I like that lift stun right there. But going for the P+K option isn't so bad also. And of course, it's just kind of funny. That move, like, basically... It just has these hilarious follow-ups in DOA6. Now we're gonna look at Jann Lee's signature throw, the Dragon Guard. As you see right here, the throw of Grant is a 23 frame offensive hold, leaves you at plus 25 advantage. I already showed you a couple things that you can do with it. In a corner, you can get a guaranteed break blow attempt for some really juicy damage. And also, if you do a small like dash up, you can also get a guaranteed fatal rush combo attempt. You know, if you put your opponent fatal stun, they have to use break blow to get out, so that's always good. But if you just want like a standard fault, like nothing really meter focused or anything, even though I probably do recommend doing the fatal rush, you can also just do your usual dash up 6H+K Dragon Stance K if you want. But so for either option, that or the fatal rush, this does come out a little faster, even though. So I mean, if you either one that you feel more comfortable doing, it's fine. And fatal rush is also of course scale a lot, but getting your opponent to try and panic and to use a break hold is always a nice option. And if you want shenanigans, you can do this and just keep doing it. Alright, Jann Lee's guard break game is pretty solid. He's not quite kind of a rush down character guard break wise compared to like a Hitomi or like Diego who can have some particularly kind of who can have some pretty nasty guard breaks. But Jann Lee does have stuff like his P+K. Alright, it leaves them on back turn and at -7, but the main point of this guard break is to push the opponent's way, because of course they don't want to get smacked with it for really good keep out damage, especially if they're playing a rush down character. They don't want to get hit by that, so if it gets blocked, it does push back the opponent really nicely, but unfortunately with the -7 you won't be able to pressure with it, so it's kind of like a reset into neutral style guard break. Alright, so other guard breaks you do have is it's like PP4 PP, so you leave Jann Lee it leaves him at +1. It's the same as the 4-4 PP, also +1. With that one, just simply like try and fish for. You can try and fish for like a lift stun or something on counter hit with the. Just leave it on counter, why not? Try and fish for this stun right here. So the lift stun, it's a 13 frame mid kick that comes out really fast. So after that guard break, you can end up just trying like end up using that right after. All right, PPP. PPP, and if you charge the last hit, so PPP fully charged last P gives you +6. So with that, pretty much almost any button you push will end up being. Any button you push will probably beat out anything the opponent pushes, unless they end up using the right response. So basically, with +6, you have complete frame advantage. So the opponent would either have to sidestep or do a mid punch hold in order to stop that. Kind of like with like Honoka or something, you get in a little guard break at the end of a lengthy string, so that is a decent option. Same with you also get it off of 7P, so that's also good. Another guard break you have is if you are able to fully charge 3-3P. It's a 40 frame guard break that leaves you at +12. Generally, this I would use this similar to like Nico's 3P+K, which is I mean both these moves are massive launchers when you do end up hitting the opponent. But with this move, if it does get blocked, for instance, I mean, well, I'll just let you know your jab is 11 frames and back turn, so I'll just let you know you don't get anything guaranteed. But with +12, same thing as like +6, you can almost push like any button you want, it will beat out the opponent. At 40 frames, what you're generally going to do though is like after, for instance, you end up like stunning the opponent or anything. Like right here, you're at a +29 lift stun, so instead of like necessarily launching the opponent like right away or anything like that, what you can actually do after that is try and sneak this in. So whether it gets blocked or hit is very good for you. And Jann Lee also has another guard break out of his Dragon Stance. If you can hit the last part, you'll be at +2, but it's just this move is just kind of like incredibly telegraphed. But just to let you know, if you do get that blocked, you will be at +2. Jann Lee's hold game is fairly straightforward for the most part. Like you see right there with his high punch hold, it ends up leaving the opponent. Like fairly close by. A lot of his holds do that. But just take note that Jann Lee does have a couple holds that do let him they either grant some frame advantage, lets him get follow-ups like his mid-punch hold or his high kick hold right here, for example. See, the mid-punch hold here leaves you at plus 24. So you can get a free 7k launch right there. And you can set up a free bound attempt right there. So the mid-punch hold is pretty nice in DOA 6. See, the high kick hold here leaves you at, well, same as the mid-punch hold, plus 24, which is very similar to the advantage of the Dragon Gunner. So you can still get basically anything that would end up hidden during the Dragon Gunner, you could do after this. So that includes the break blow, and you could do a fatal rushes. Little tip, if you do 2 fatal rushes, it leaves Jann Lee back turned. So for this, you still see, so basically treat the high kick hold as the same as the Dragon Gunner. Jann Lee also has a mid-kick parry out of his Dragon Stance, but honestly, just don't really bother with it. His mid-kick hold is good enough and blast the opponent away, so for... this is basically just kind of a novelty. Alright, we're going to be looking at Jann Lee the wall right now, and just like fighting with him at any range or range in general, he is no slouch in close range. For wall slamming, I recommend things like 6-6K, 6P.K is fine, so stuff like that. So if you do end up wall slamming the opponent, and also like P+K, if you do wall slam the opponent with like 6P.K or 6-6K and do 9P then 6KK as a fault, if you end up wall slamming the opponent with 6H+K, then press 4 to go in the Dragon Stance. I mean, on a not an angled wall hit, because Jann Lee kind of moves around a lot. So on a forward wall hit, press back to go in the Dragon Stance and just do P+K 3 times, and you end up doing that kind of hilarious looking move right there. Do you remember 6T at a wall? Well, Jann Lee has gotten this. He's got Dragon Stance 2K on there, which is basically a wall slamming move off of a low. So I mean, it could be. It's basically just makes this, just shows how nasty this throw can be at a wall. Like, check this out. Alright, we're gonna be taking a look at Jann Lee's signature stance, his Dragon Stance. Alright, if you want to just do it raw, you can input it with 2P+K, then hold down 2, and you go into Dragon Stance. Or if you want to create space, which you always want to do with Jann Lee, he has his 1P+K, and this automatically goes into Dragon Stance. So during the animation, just input your option that you do right there. Alright, so from Dragon Stance, the options that you do have from there is P option, K option, the new 2K, and the new and improved P+K. So this move used to be a lot, or well, that's also the 6P+K option. I don't like that as much. This option of P+K used to be, it used to be a lot slower in DOA 5, but in DOA 6 it's kind of a lot faster, and it's got multiple follow-ups, so you can do it up to 3 sets of his Fists of Fury, so that's always nice. This move, as I just showed you in the last section, can be particularly nasty at the wall, and even in open space, you get your knockdown, which is okay. So just think of it as like decent kind of like knockback damage on the opponent. Like when playing Jann Lee, simply knocking the opponent away is like never a bad thing. So anything that augments his keep out game is always completely welcome. Another thing to keep in mind is out of his Dragon Stance, he could do the Fatal Rush from that stance. So the main purpose of this, aside from getting the Fatal Stun, is that it's also your track and move from Fatal Rush. So if he goes into Dragon Stance in any way, then you have your Fatal Rush to end up to help keep the opponent honest, and that'll let you know that you cannot sidestep Dragon Stance for free. That's it for now. Alright, just one more tidbit with Jann Lee. He does have a pretty useful close hit move, which is his While Rising, or also called While Standing 4-6P. Alright, not that input. That move right there. Alright, for this move from While Rising, that means if you end up doing something like 2P and do 4-6, then it can set it up. But if you want to try and do it for more of a neutral, then what I would recommend is do 3-3, 4-6P. Let me try it again. Like so. right there. So you can use that, for instance, at the end of like bound combos. You can also do things like quarter circle back, quarter circle back, quarter circle back 6p. So 214 6p, that works pretty well too. There's also half circle back, but it's kind of like the same input right there. So once you like get used to doing that move, then you can also include it at the end of bound combos at like the wall in like a corner. But anyways, if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me on my YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. So that means leaving a comment down below. You can also contact Force Nature on freestepdodge.com. And be sure to check out my other guides in the top tier advanced series and my character guides. So I am motoring along with those, and there are definitely going to be more in the future, as you can probably guess. If you'd like to support the channel, feel free to join Top Tier Fighters. The support does help, and I appreciate those that have joined. I thank you for that. But anyways, this is Force Nature signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on Top Tier Tips.